ECOWAS heads of state meeting over protocol allowing for free movement of goods and services as Ghanaian traders serve notice they will not relent in driving out foreigners who operate illegally in retail trade.
There is a conflict, absolutely, no doubt about that.
The authority of heads of state need to have a meeting on this. It is either we drink deep or taste not. If we want to go the way of the protocol, we should apply ourselves to all of them. We cannot pick and choose.
Happening right now, Parliament's joint committees of Defence, Interior and Trade have begun emergency discussions to address root cause of current feud between Ghana and Nigeria retail traders. We have the latest and hear from government, which is assuring the Nigerian community of their safety.
The important thing is to ensure that we don't stereotype any particular group of people, and that the general protections that the state must ensure are available within our jurisdiction for citizens and non-citizens are upheld.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
Top Story is always brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion, brought to you by Gassem Cement, the nation builder. Vodafone, the future is exciting, ready, and Nationwide Health Insurance, your healthcare family. Well, the Ghana Union of Traders Association is tonight serving notice. It will not relent in its resolve to drive out foreigners operating in the retail trade in Ghana unless the authorities act to enforce the law. There's a lot happening tonight on this matter, which has led to some vandalism, particularly in Swami and Kumasi. The MP for that area, who also happens to be the majority leader and also the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, is tonight wading into this controversy. He is calling for an emergency ECOWAS heads of state meeting over the protocol allowing for free movement of goods and services in the wake of what now has become a national threat by Guta to carry out a more widespread action to get the foreigners operating in the retail market out of these spaces as they attempt to enforce the law, because they accuse authorities of failing to do so after several meetings and pleadings with the authorities to do exactly that and enforce the Ghanaian laws on the matter. The Defence and Interior Committees as well as the Trade and Industry Committees in Parliament are also tonight engaging to come up with appropriate recommendations to address the underlying cause of recent feud between Ghana and Nigeria traders. Now, at the center of the discussion is how to align the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme, which grants some privileges to member states engaging in trading and movement, and the Ghana Investment Promotion Center Act, which explicitly grants the right to retail trade to Ghanaians. Now, the development comes on the back of what we've seen in the last 48 hours, the forceful closure of shops belonging to Nigerian traders at the Swami Magazine area. The action is getting support from their colleagues at the Bosokai Spare Parts Dealers and also the Ghana Union of Traders Association. We'll shortly speak to their leadership, particularly the General Secretary of Guta, Alpha Shaban. In fact, joins us on the telephone line right now. Mr. Shaban, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you, sir.
There's a lot happening tonight to address the concerns you've raised. I want to quickly go through that for you and see if any of that addresses the concerns that you've raised, particularly the Member of Parliament for Swami, who is also the majority leader, but also Parliamentary Affairs Minister, has been talking about the need to hold an emergency meeting to correct what he believes to be the imbalance in enforcing that trade liberalization law.
We have the conventions relating to the ECOWAS, various protocols that we have also acceded to. I think, unfortunately, what is happening in the entire sub-region is that none of the countries is also, conforming. Ghanaian goods are sent to Burkina Faso, are sent to Togo, they are sent to La Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia, Nigeria. They prevent our accessing the markets of those countries. So why is it then that we should just allow for one of the protocols, free movement of goods and services, Why should we allow just that and then refuse to accept that the others are necessary to expand the market base for the countries in the
Probably in this scenario, we should stick to what our local laws say and really.
I'm saying that
not allow them to engage
the authority of heads of state need to have a meeting on this. It is either we drink deep or taste not. If we want to go the way of the protocols, we should apply ourselves to all of them. We cannot pick and choose. That I will not allow the introduction of the ECO, but I want my citizens to move freely out and settle anywhere that they deem fit. That will be a challenge. So I believe this can occasion a meeting, an emergency meeting of the ECOWAS. Let's think through, where do we want to go, right? Where do we want to go? Because we do know that trade among ourselves is really going to enhance the economies of the countries in the sub-region. But if you erect barriers, that here I will not allow you, but you allow me, access in this direction, it's going to be difficult. We can't pick and choose.
What do you say to the people of Sunday? That's where a lot of the action is happening. The foreigners are being attacked.
I can only urge for tolerance, and that, as I said, we should allow due process to assume center stage. Nobody should take the law into his own hands.
So the matter is now before Parliament following the Speaker's intervention. The Speaker had intervened in this matter. Also, ranking member on the Defence and Interior Committee, James Agaga, says a meeting was held last night on the matter and will continue today.
Ghana has certain international obligations. The moment you sign on to an international protocol or treaty, and that is what it is with respect to those ECOWAS protocols that you have just cited with regards to free trade. Yeah. I tell you that there is need for us to realign our municipal legislation.
We should change the GIPC.
We have to realign, the GIPC Act so that it is in tandem with our international obligations and commitment under the ECOWAS protocols. So these are challenges that we have to contend with as a country. And I have no doubt in my mind that the commitment we have at the level of ECOWAS, and even if you like, at the level of the African Union, remember that very soon the African Continental Free Trade Area
would also come
into force.
So that is James Agaga speaking to my colleague Raymond Akwa there. Well, today the Accra traders joined their Kumasi colleagues in solidarity. The Bosokai spare parts dealers held a press conference vowing that if they given an ultimatum to government to act and implement the Ghanaian law that bars foreigners from engaging in retail trade, or else they will have to follow suit with what their colleagues in Kumasi had done.
We, the Abosokai Spare Parts Dealers Association, we want to, one, affirm our support to our brothers and sisters in Kumasi who have taken it upon themselves to defend the cause of freedom and enforce the rights in their business. We want also to register our displeasure towards that shameful speech by the so-called Nigerian professor, which has gone viral on social media. We also want to register our displeasure to the Nigerian High Commissioner for attacking our media for doing their rightful job. Inform government to act within a matter of 2 weeks, or the Abosokai Spare Parts Dealers Association will take a destiny into our own hands to register our displeasure with the dormant approach taken by government toward this canker in our society.
And that is the view from Accra, and there is a statement from the National Union themselves also making similar pronouncements. We'll get into that. Mr. Shaban will join us on this, but at the root cause of this is that ECOWAS treaty, and Elting has a copy of that. Elting, what does it really say?
So this was first passed in 1985 and reaffirmed in 1990. Now the ECOWAS protocol on the free movement of people and goods ensures free mobility of the community citizens, that the citizens of member states. The protocol on free movement conferred on community citizens the right to enter and reside in the territory of any member state, provided they possess a valid travel document and international health certificate. However, it also allowed member states the right to refuse admission to any community citizen who are inadmissible under the member state's own domestic law. they are also allowed to engage in businesses, economic ventures that will generate income for themselves. There's
so that's an important point.
Yeah,
they're allowed to engage in businesses that will generate income. Exactly what the Nigerians and others are doing in Ghana.
And the bottom line that they want to open the West African market so that there will be free movement of goods and services across member states. That is the bottom line as far as the protocol is concerned.
Meanwhile, there is a GIPC Act that also forbids foreigners from engaging in retail trade in Ghana, which conflicts. It's in conflict with this, which we've just heard already.
Right, and this is Act 895, passed in 2013. Now, Section 27 deals with, the privileges accorded a Ghanaian. First, a person who is not a citizen or an enterprise which is not wholly owned by a citizen shall not invest or participate in the sale of goods or provisions of services in a market, petty trading or hawking or selling of goods in a store at any place. Now, B, the operation of taxi or car hire service in an enterprise that has a fleet of less than 25 vehicles. C, the operation of a beauty salon or barber shop. The printing of research scratch cards for the use of subscribers of telecommunication services, the production of exercise books and other basic stationery, the retail of finished pharmaceutical products, the production, supply, and retail of sachet water, all aspects of pool betting business and lotteries, except football. The minister, in consultation with the board, may by legislative instrument amend the list of the enterprise received for citizens and enterprise owned by Ghanaians. So this, in essence, restricts retail business to Ghanaians.
Okay, let me currently bring in the National General Secretary of GUTA, Alpha Shaban, who's been on the line with us for a while. Also joining us on the telephone line right now is the chairman of the Trade and Industry Committee of Parliament, Nana Marfo Amaniampo. Mr. Amaniampo, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you, Evans.
Great,
How are you?
Great. I'm doing well. Mr. Shaban, let me start with you. You also issued a statement today, GUTA National, and you say in your statement that we wish to caution that if the authorities fail to take decisive and swift action and decide to hide under the law and use the security agencies to harass, intimidate, or molest any of our members or a trader who is genuinely fighting to reclaim the territory reserved by law for them, it will be most unfortunate. Mr. Shaban, are you suggesting that the traders who, ransacked shops in Kumasi were doing a legitimate act? We seem to have lost him on the line. But let me bring in the chairman of the committee who is with us on the line. Mr. Amaniampon, I know that you've been meeting on this matter. Can you update us on how far you've gone with the process of the discussions?
Thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity to actually greet your teaming listeners. Actually, this problem has been with us for a very, very long time. Thank God I'm not a first-time MP. In fact, last Parliament, I was there. And interestingly, I was part of that committee. Honorable Sorogo was our chair around that time. And even that time, the act was there. We just reviewed it. So that what we were even quoting from was 2013 version of 865. It was a reviewed part. But let me say that because this has been a thorny issue, it requires this Parliament. So actually, Mr. Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, actually referred the matter to the committee. And because this time we want to do exhaustive work, it cut across about 3 committees, trade and industry and tourism, then defense, and because, the violence aspect, the defense part is also with it, and then immigration. You see, so we are doing a very good job, and I believe when we finish, everybody will be smiling all the way.
You say you're doing a good job. GUTA disagrees. Yesterday, they told me on the same show that they've met you before, 3 months ago. You asked them to write to the committee. They did write to the committee, and they haven't heard from you since.
Of course, that is exactly what, Parliament, we are not doing just one job. We are doing a lot. So we are supposed to meet them this Tuesday, 25th of June. If you look at our other paper, it's been advertised that Tuesday we are meeting GUTA and one other group. So they cannot fault us that they've not heard nothing from us. And it's just like, like the lawyer said that, wheel of justice grinds slowly that surely it will land. And when it lands, and it lands well, everybody will be smiling.
Just stay on the line for me briefly. I've just been joined by the General Secretary of GUTA, Mr. Shaban. Mr. Shaban, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, I was just reading your statement, and the part where you say that you're cautioning the authorities, who you accuse of failing to take decisive and swift action, and that if they decide to hide under the law and use the security agencies to harass and intimidate or molest any of your members, and you say that these members are genuinely fighting to reclaim the territory reserved by law for them. I'm just curious to know, are you suggesting that these traders in Kumasi, who yesterday we saw on videos ransacking shops of foreigners, were engaged in what you call legitimate fighting, genuine fighting to reclaim territory?
The point is this, that ransacking, people can make false allegations because, one, we have not heard any case of ransacking.
I haven't heard. We've seen, we witnessed, we're there when a Nigerian shop was being ransacked. The owner of the shop was standing there. And there's a video of this that I can share with you. It happened.
No, people can come out with videos and that's with allegations and other things. So once I am not there, and I've been following up. I haven't heard anything of such this thing. I cannot believe.
You also suggest in your statement that you will not succumb or kowtow to any authority on the matter until the right thing is done to save Ghana and Ghanaians from the awful situation. What do you mean by this? Is this something that you're gonna go ahead and drive out people from the areas?
Yes. You see, if you could recall, we raised these issues over 20 years ago. The task forces have been formed. Nothing comes out of it. And you can imagine, the law is there. The law does not bar foreigners from coming into retail trade, but it has some clauses. If you are a foreigner, and even that, a foreigner can join the local to establish business, but the law still remains the same. So what we are saying is that we realize that a lot of people are abusing the law. So we call on the authorities to stick up, monitor and enforce the law to bring peace and sanity so that it doesn't lead to any problem in the future. Nothing was done. That led to agitations. And then the then government formed an interagency task force to solve that problem. But nothing happened. Subsequent governments also came to do the same. And then out of frustration, about 8 months ago, our people took the destiny into their own hands. Then they were prevailed on. Another committee was set up. The committee went on the ground, worked diligently, came out with a report. 8 months from now, nothing has happened. And then some of even the foreigners got a gut to tell us that we were making noise and that some of our big men are in their pocket. If it were you, how will you take it? One, we are not only traders whose areas, territories reserved for are being edited. We are also Ghanaians who owe responsibility of ensuring that nobody comes to mess up our economy, run away to this country or any other country and leave us to our problems. So we are saying that we are tired and sick of these services. Our authorities who are being paid and financed with our tax money to stick up and enforce the law.
You say you're tired, but taking the law into your own hands can never be an option, can it?
The point is, if you push people to a wall, nothing happens by chance. That is why the people are engaged, trained to enforce the law. If they have not done their thing, what do you expect people to do? Laws do not apply by themselves. People have to apply it. And those who have to do that are failing the people. So what do you expect the people to do out of frustration?
We just heard, and we have on the line the chairman of the Trades and Industry Committee in Parliament, who told us, who just says that this matter is a complex one. And yes, it will grind slowly, but they are working on it.
Yes,
and
I agree. I'm coming. You see, we work ahead. I heard him. We welcome that. Listen, what we want is fairness and equity. Because this is not a platform to... When
you say fairness and equity, what exactly does that mean?
So that the law is there. as far as free movements of goods, services, and people are concerned, it is working excellently in Ghana. We are also traders. We travel. When you go to Nigeria and other ECOWAS member countries, they enforce their laws. You don't even need to anybody to tell you you don't go to this. ECOWAS is this is ECOWAS external. That's the ETLS was there. Nigeria banned certain items from Ghana. Why do they have to pick and choose? Is ECOWAS not there? What we should also know is that ECOWAS is just an association of sovereign states. It is based on agreement, rules and regulations that need to be obeyed by everybody. But when you come to any member country, it's a sovereign country with her laws, which also need to be obeyed. And we have our business law here. So what we are saying is this: there are other foreigners working that are doing legitimate these things. Are they complaining?
So why? So okay. So if
the law to bring peace, because without security there can never be peace.
So you say I'm interested in the question you asked, that other foreigners operating are not complaining.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting? I'm just curious to know why this seemed to be targeted at the Nigerian community.
Nobody is targeting at Nigerians. We are talking about foreigners. Anytime we raise issue, Nigeria think they can bully us. That is why we also react to their. Listen, you heard what the High Commissioner said, and even that professor. You see, we as that national body are only studying this thing. We react to all those statements at the appropriate time. We cannot be taken for granted in our own country.
Mr. Amani Ampona, I get the sense that your meetings will definitely need to include the ECOWAS officials as well in the conversation, either the ECOWAS or an extension to the Nigerian executives or representatives in Ghana to resolve the difference. That is a grievance they expressed there, that they are not getting fairness and equity.
No, the issue is that the issue is that
Mr. Shaban, just a second. I want to listen to the chair of the committee briefly.
Okay. Yes, you see, we are a committee from Parliament, so we work under the instructions of the Right Honourable Speaker. I mean, when we bring the issue to plenary, and Mr. Speaker feels the need to get the let's say the Nigerian community or the ECOWAS community to be involved, that one's fine. He can decide on that. But for now, our terms of reference doesn't include them. But you see, I'm happy that your question line to the gentleman. You get the point. And look the way he speaks. I mean, he knows a lot. The point is that you cannot take the laws into your own hands. What is his standard for saying that somebody is a foreigner? Because today we actually took that section 27 details, and we even decided to go into who even a foreigner is. You cannot look at somebody's face by his tribal marks or maybe his accent and decide that. For you know, the person has naturalized. All these people that he's shouting at the rooftop, does he have evidence that they are still Nigerians or they are holding dual citizenship? You see, these are what makes the water very muddy. You see, it's not as simple as he sees it. It's not as simple as he sees it. And if you see per document before me, they estimate that there are 7 million Nigerians here and 2 million Ghanaians in Nigeria. Assuming what happened at Swami, one soul, which happened to be a Nigerian, had been lost yesterday. Only God knew what might have happened to our people across the board. And I think it behoves everybody, all Ghanaians, to know that we are in a borderless world now, just as we have a cashless economy. I mean, all those blocks and these things are now being, because now we've signed CFTA, Continental Trade, which is going to give Ghanaians free access as far as South Africa, Algeria, Tunisia, wherever you can carry your goods. You can go and sell it there. When we begin to implement that protocols, what are they going to say? We are not saying that we are helping anybody to take Ghanaian jobs. But the issue is that, Guta is suffering because of maybe our economic system here. They borrow at a market where the cost of capital is very high, compared to China, where they just give them money to go wherever they can go in this world to go and find business for themselves. So it's not as simple as they say. We need to come and joy and see the way forward. Because if you think you can take the law into your own, you don't also know what somebody also have under his or her sleeve. So they need to have the government of the day. They need to have, Parliament of the day, to help them, to work for them. But if they think that they can do that buga thing too, that's why it doesn't work anymore.
Mr. Shaban, do you accept that admonition?
Yeah, it doesn't work anymore.
Mr. Shaban?
Yes.
You accept the admonition you're getting from the chair?
Yes, the point is, like I have always been saying, if the law has been implemented, yes, it is not true. It is very true that it is not easy to identify a foreigner. But if the laws were being that's monitored and implemented, the implementers know better. And then where we find that nobody is abusing the distance, I don't think there will be cause for anybody to agitate. So once we come together, come out with a fair thing, together we'll all monitor and make sure that fairness prevails, and then peace also is restored.
It's restored.
So we work together.
Mr. Shaban, thank you very much. Mr. Amaniampong, what specific outcomes are you hoping to deliver with this series of meetings you've begun?
No, we even saw that. In fact, the act itself must be revisited. Yesterday we were with GIPC. The CEO, Mr. Yofi Grant, was with that. And we were all going through and we saw that. In fact, you see, it's like making laws and you don't have the benefit of the future. Now this law is now anachronistic. You know that, moving the way forward, you cannot depend on this law. We need to get maybe trade laws which will go deep down and unearth all these problems so that, nobody can rely on, tenants like this and then cause confusion in the country. So if you are asking me, we believe that among maybe our recommendation to Mr. Speaker will be maybe revisiting this DIPC Act 865 and then deal with major issues which like Article 27 and those things, so that at least we will reshape it and then make sure that at least everybody who is relying on that act will not just look at the letter, but will look at the spirit. They are not looking at the spirit of the law. They always look at the letter of foreigner. Then he underlines it with a red line and then begins to act on it. We believe that the framers of this law, maybe what they thought was not what the users of the law actually also understand. So we believe maybe going forward, we'll recommend that the whole act has to be revisited and then redone so that it will bring peace to everybody within or without the borders of the country.
I'm grateful that you joined us. Chairman of the Trade and Industry Committee, you had the General Secretary of GUTA. These discussions are underway. Government is assuring that if you're a foreigner and operating legally in Ghana, you will be protected. This is the Information Minister, Kojo Ponkrumah.
I think one of the first things we have to do is to avoid any form of stereotype and xenophobia, whether in our reportage or in our public conversations about some of these matters, and to treat them on a specific basis. If you are finding any person, be that person Ghanaian or otherwise, who is engaged in any activity that is not in consonance with our laws, whether it's a Ghanaian operating a shop where that shop ought not to be operated, or operating without a necessary fire license or FDA approvals, whatever, if it's an American, if it's a Nigerian, if it's a Chinese, what we have to encourage people to do is to make a report on those specifics to the appropriate authorities so that they deal with it.
The last time you spoke about the Canadian girls who were kidnapped, you did assure the international community that Ghana was safe. Since then, the Nigerians have come under attack. The High Commissioner has also issued a statement. The government must obviously be worried about the relationship between Ghana and Nigeria and what this could actually mean for Ghanaians who live in Nigeria.
Yesterday, we had the opportunity to meet with the Nigerian High Commissioner and then subsequently members of his team. They are also helping Ghana's authorities to ensure that if there are any specific persons who are involved in untoward conduct, they will be supportive in our exercise to let such persons face the law.
And that is the Information Minister Kojo upon Nkrumah. Newsnight starts in a few seconds.